Just said we can wait for a minute. Please take them from your dad.
Okay, could you just tell me
All
when?
right, get started. Y'all ready?
Yes.
All right. Then at this time, I will call this regular meeting of the Port Lavaca City Council to order on this Monday, February 13th, 2023 at 6:32 p.m. I'd ask everyone to please rise. Councilman Ward, would you please deliver our invocation?
Sure. Let's pray. Father, we come before you now. We thank you for the blessings you extend to us as a nation. Lord, we just ask that you continue to protect us. Be with our military father. And Lord, I just pray that the decisions that are made at the national, state, and local level will be in accordance with your will. And we pray this, Father, in Jesus Christ's name and for his sake. And I give you the praise and honor and glory, Father. And I thank you for hearing our prayer.
Amen. Everyone, please join me in the pledges of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to these Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And always, our first order of business is to ask if there's anyone here to comment before council. No one has signed up, I believe, but I believe there's anybody here to make a statement. So with that, we'll move on to our regular consent agenda, which consists of the January 9th, 2023 regular meeting, the review of our credit card statement, receiving our monthly financial highlight report, and review of the quarterly financial statements ending January 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes. All right, we'll move to our regular action items in the agenda. Agenda item number 1, consider opioid settlement participation agreements with Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart. Anne Marie, do you want to?
All I can tell you is that these entities, like the other entities we previously settled with, have settled with the state of Texas. We are not sure at this point what the payment's going to be, but we can choose to either adopt the settlement that's a statewide settlement, or we can pursue our own claim against these companies. Because of the cost prohibitive nature of bringing your own lawsuit, my recommendation is to approve whatever the state has agreed to in order that we may benefit from the state's stuff.
Can I ask a question? How did we get into this, Anne Marie? I'm not.
It's we've been in it since early on. This is a statewide, and all the entities, in order to get money, you have to approve the settlements. We approved them previously with some insurance companies, I believe. It's statewide, so everything's being done by the Attorney General's office. And I think we had a Zoom. I don't know if you were here or not. We had a Zoom meeting with the Attorney General's office that explained the whole settlement process. If you go on the Attorney General's website, if you want further information or understand it, there is a website specifically for these opioid settlements. And what it's intending to provide is money is going to be distributed to the city based on the contacts it has that they relate to drug problems. So for the opioid crisis. And then the county's going to be getting money, the entities get money, and it has to be used to, it's a pretty broad, like to ameliorate the opioid problems in the community. Generally, it will flow to the law enforcement agency because that's where you see most of the contacts. But it's very broad. Like if you wanted to use it for instance, your mental health officer, that probably would qualify because that deals with the opioid crisis.
We approving,
All these
just for these companies,
agreements, just for these 4 companies.
as presented by staff.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second approving the opioid settlement participation agreements with Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes. Now move to agenda item number 2, consider agreement between the city of Port Lavaca and County YMCA for operation of the municipal swimming pool from April 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2023. Wayne?
Mayor, council, in your packets is the contract for the 23-24 agreement with the YMCA. It has not changed since last year. We had a good partnership last year. Everything worked fine and we see no reason to change at this point.
Yeah, it's all the equipment. There's no major like last year that we
Everything's
until.
Everything's good to go and we'll be going out and doing a run through of everything within the next couple of weeks to rent a pump, drain the pool and clean and paint and do.
Thank you.
As you recall, we had a couple workshops on defining the scope for the other project we're looking at, which is Independence Drive. And so we basically boiled down what we wanted. The last we talked, curb and gutter, underground drainage, and 3 lanes, 2 lanes with a continuous turn lane to go from Virginia to Half League Road. So in your packet is the proposed engineering agreement with Civil Corps for a total amount of $475,000. The estimated cost for the construction cost for the scope covered by this engineering contract is $5.1 million. So just to take a look at this amount, the basic services is $393,000, which would be basically 7.7%. That's well in line with what's acceptable. And the overall 475 would be 9.3% of the overall construction dollars. Again, that's well within accepted limits. If on page 8 of the contract, you can see the full breakdown of that $475,000 when we talked about this in the workshop, we were discussing the idea of a shared use path on both sides of Independence Drive. We have in fact applied to TxDOT with their alternate transportation project grant program for the shared use paths along Independence on both sides from Half League Road to Virginia Street, also from Independence down to Calhoun High School, and also from Independence to Calhoun Plaza via a path behind Bordeaux Apartments that would be within an easement that would be donated by Jimmy Shelton. We have made the preliminary application. We got a call today. Basically made that step. They want to talk to us, go through the project before making the final application. If we are awarded, we will find out in October or November of this year. And if we are awarded, then TxDOT will handle all the engineering, all the construction and everything. We are proposing that Civil Corps begin the engineering now for the road construction portion of the project, which is not eligible for this type of thing. So realistically, we would probably be bidding that project this time next year, January, February of 2024. And it's going to take a little while to get construction going, the streets going. So realistically, TxDOT would probably start on their end, say this time next year, assuming we got the grant. And it's going to take 6 to 7, 8 months for them to go through engineering and get contracts and everything. So the timing may work out just right because, you know, you really don't want to build the sidewalk until the road's substantially complete. So I think it's all looking really good. And the scope of our project fits perfectly with what they're looking for in this grant program. So I'm very optimistic that we will in fact get it, but you know, we don't know until, we'll know for sure until October, November. So anyway, this is the proposed agreement with Civil Corps to get them started on the road construction portion, drainage and the road construction for Independence.
So I guess the last time we met and kind of finalized it, did we agree to go all the way from Halfley to Virginia? Or because
This is what, that was my, I mean, of course, we didn't vote on anything.
right,
That was the general consensus that I got.
and so this is the engineering for all that.
Yes.
I guess when we see how much.
And then again, when we bid it, we can split it out, but they're going to design the whole thing.
That makes
And actually, to clarify our application with TxDOT, the shared use path only goes from Virginia to Sandcraft. It doesn't go all the way because it didn't really add anything to the project because we don't have anything down that ways. And so what we've got proposed, everything makes sense.
I think there's something proposed on the right, going this way, the right-hand side, there's something gonna go on there from what I'm hearing.
On what road?
On Independence.
Independence, another day.
Oh, yeah, there's a daycare. Proposed for that, yes.
I have a question. Do we have any say in like how the sidewalks get in the layout? Because some of the sidewalks that TxDOT has put in are unsafe. And then you ask them, you know, talk to the
Well, I mean-
engineer and what they did worse than the beginning part of it. So do we have a say in that?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
You have a say in it for sure. But I can tell you this, you know, in fairness to TxDOT and what they got, they were working with an existing curb and gutter, an existing system, whereas this is all new, you know, so we should
I
not.
was talking about the sidewalks.
Hmm?
I was talking about the sidewalks.
Right, but I mean, as far, because they were putting the sidewalks in that were trying to match the. curb.
No. But like there's a drop off right here. And instead of putting some type of railing, they put a step that is worse than just leaving it alone.
Okay.
It's
But no,
more dangerous.
to answer your question, we will,
Be separate
yes, have
there.
input. Yes.
Well, yes, I know, but I still want to know if we have a say in it.
Yes. I mean, to be honest with you, they would probably have the final say, but we would have input.
Input.
Okay, this agenda item.
That's gonna do whatever.
It's Civil
Agreement with
Corps.
Civil Corps.
Yes. Civil Corps engineering.
Did the-
Huh?
Is this your district?
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Make the motion.
Second it.
You made the motion?
Ward made the motion.
We have a motion and a second approving the engineering agreement between the city of Port Lavaca and Civil Corps LLC for the 2023 capital improvement project, Independence Drive paving and drainage improvements as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. We were very much.
Tim, we were talking about just going to Sandcraft Boulevard at one time. but-
was part of this.
Yeah, that's what we had discussed. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. This is.
They make
They're also gonna put that in the dome.
project and then break it down.
This side of.
Yeah.
Near the whole project.
Pathways.
Rather than
No, I was going on there.
Next stop comes.
engineering plans to
Right.
Yeah.
already there.
No, that makes sense.
Okay, we'll move on then to agenda item number 2. Consider the first reading of an ordinance G-1-23 of the city of Port Lavaca, amending the Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Appendix A, fees, rate, charges, Chapter 22, fire prevention and protection, Section 22, construction permit, and providing an effective date. Eric?
Mayor, council, this is the amendment that was approved for the second reading last month. However, it was brought to my attention that we didn't reference chapter 22 of the Code of Ordinances with the amendment change. So this is just basic house cleaning.
So moved. Right, we have a motion and a second approving the first reading of ordinance T-1-23. In Code of Ordinance, Part 2, Appendix A, fees, rate, charges, Chapter 23, property prevention and protection, Section 22, construction permits. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes, first reading passes. Move to agenda item number 11, consider the recommendation of the planning board for a variance request to the ordinance chapter 48, division 3, off-street parking and loading, section 48, sections 48 to 106 and sections 48 to 107. To dash
It's 48-106.
dash 107 and section 48-107. Okay. To be located at 312 West Live Oak Street. Derek,
Yes, this is a request from, it's going to be the joint dispatch building over by the jail. They did not, the design of the building, they didn't have enough room to have the off-street parking requirement. So part of the parking space that are going to be in the actual right of way. So they're requesting a variance to that. And then also due to the size of the building, they're supposed to have 19 parking spaces and they're requesting 13 because of the size. Right next to it on the same block, there is a parking lot for the other buildings that can be used for this building as well. And plus, they're anticipating roughly about 8 people at any given time. Occasionally, they will have a meeting, but it'll be in the evenings after everything's closed down. So there should be plenty of off-street parking on that block.
okay, and the planning board reviewed all that.
And they did recommend approval of it. Yes, sir.
If you look at the photographs, it kind of gives you a better idea of where this is going, give you a feel.
On this diagram, there's 15, you said 13 or 15?
Well, on the diagram, it does show 15, but I was with the old ADA requirement.
Okay,
They didn't have the proper width for the no parking
so we're looking at 13,
access.
then 19 needed.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second approving the recommendation of the planning board for a variance request of the ordinance, chapter 48, division 3, off-street parking and loading, section 48-106, and section 40-107 to be located at 312 West Live Oak Street as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes.
I guess there be any hindrance to fire truck or anything like that.
Yes, sir. The fire chief was there at the pre-development meeting with.
It's on the other parking.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to agenda item number 12. Consider recommendation of the planning board for a single lot preliminary minor plat for the Sylvia Ina Mendoza Life Estate subdivision located at 914 Schooley Street. CAD pin number 54708. Derek?
Mayor, council, this is a request. Basically, it was a larger parcel of land that was separated with family members. And she's getting the proper subdivision of replatting so that she could pull permits to do improvements on the existing house that's on the property. The planning board did approve the preliminary plat, but they did state to make sure that there's apartments behind it. Their utilities are running through her property. This property that she's requesting a replat. They're requesting to have the utilities moved for the apartments behind it prior to approving the final plat.
Where's this at exactly? Wait,
You know where Schooley Street is?
Yeah.
It's on the east side of Half League. or.
East side of Happy, that'd be my.
East side of Half League, and it's one block essentially south of George Street. It's a dead end. It's kind of
Yeah.
behind.
Right, it's like-
this area.
Make the motion that we approve this.
A
Be
second.
glad.
Was he second?
Second.
Wait,
We have a motion
Rosie got that.
and a second approving the recommendation of the planning board for the single lot preliminary minor plat for the Sylvia Pena Mendoza Life Estate subdivision located at 914 Schooley Street. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. We go to agenda item 13, consider recommendation of the planning board for a variance to the ordinance chapter 12, section 12-24, building setbacks for the Sylvia Pena Mendoza Life Estate subdivision. Eric?
As mentioned before, this is on the same property. It does have an existing structure and it is set at the 15-foot setback. She's requesting a variance for a front porch, which would be 9 foot, which would leave 6 foot between the porch and the right of way. The planning board did recommend approval.
And the reason for the request has to do with area. So that they can get to their front door without getting their feet wet. Pains. And I can tell you that, we have just completed a drainage study of that area and have a proposed solution, but it involves purchasing right away from the railroad to build a detention pond, and working on that. But
So what's the typical setback from a right?
it'd be
With this, it varies between what's the division you're on.
15 is
It's typical for the old city. There were stipulations of the steps can't enter into the 6 foot setback, and then also the front porch cannot be enclosed. It's gonna have a cover, but it won't be enclosed. Those were the two
There's not a
stipulations.
lot of vehicles going down there anyway.
No, sir.
no, there's
Like I
not.
said,
It's a dead end.
and even
It's flood, it stands.
whatever point in the future we do drainage improvements in there, we rework that road, we're not going to go any further than the right of way, obviously. And so she's still 6 feet from the right of way line, and we would be in at least 6 to 8 feet, from with the curb and the.
I'll make a motion that we accept the variance.
I second.
We have motion and a second approving the recommendation of the planning board for a variance to the ordinance chapter 12, section 12- building setbacks for the Sylvia Pena Mendoza Life Estate subdivision as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passes. Okay, we're at agenda item number 14. Consider the recommendation of the planning board for an 8-lot final plat, Mimi's subdivision located on Independence Drive. And the CAD PIN number is 37736.
The preliminary plat and the final plat were submitted to the planning board. Believe we discussed this at a previous meeting. It's where they're talking about building a daycare.
On lot 2.
Yes, on lot 2. And the planning board did recommend approval of this one as well.
And you can note that, we're showing the 25-foot drainage easement along Independence. So we can create a swale in there so that everything's not draining into our Independence. And there's drainage easement in the back as well.
Jody, when they design Independence Drive, is that going to be a swell drainage or?
No, the road will have subsurface drainage. It's just that it's going to be very expensive to have that subsurface to handle all that water coming from the north. So the idea is you want, it was more economical to think about having a swale behind Independence to carry all that to get it down to where then it crosses under Independence and goes down the ditch by side.
District is this?
That is Ken's.
Ken Ball, you want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion approving the recommendation of the planning board for an 8-lot final plat, BB subdivision located at Independence Drive. As presented, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes. All right, agenda item number 15, consider recommendation of the planning board for a preliminary plat, PBSPL Newman LLC subdivision located north of State Highway 35 and east of Village Road. The property identification for this site is 93150 with the parcel containing 2.18 acres situated on the Alejandro Esparza survey, abstract number 12 of Calhoun County, Texas, and being part of the same property shown as 3.079 acres and the Express in Port Lavaca subdivision. Derek?
Mayor, council, this request for a replat is for a proposed motel possibly coming in. And the planning board did approve the replat for this one as well. The preliminary.
And actually, it's a preliminary plat. It's not a replat.
Yeah, because the other plat was never
Well, yes,
filed.
I think it was actually.
The prelim, I think, was the final.
Yeah, that could be-
Fails.
Yeah.
Ken or Jim?
This one might be Jim's.
It's on that side of
Is
Village Road it is. Village Road. I know it's the Village Road.
Got a motion?
I so moved. I'll second it.
Yeah, Village Road is the
We
line.
have a motion and a second approving the recommendation of the planning board for a preliminary plat of the PBSCL on Newman LLC subdivision located at State Highway 35 and Village Road. As presented, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion passes. Okay, our next item is to retire to closed session. Does council want to take a few minutes break before we go into closed session?
Oh, it's just, we went through the rest of it pretty fast, so I think
We tried.
we did 16.
Okay.
So we've only been here 34 minutes, 30.
Information that was received from a business prospect that seeks to locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body and with the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations in accordance with Title V, Chapter 551, Section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code. And or consultation with attorney on matters in which the duty of the attorney to the city council under Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the state board of Texas clearly conflicts with the Open Meetings Act, Title V, Chapter 551, Section 551.071, Section 2 of the Texas Government Code. This time I would, this for discussion.
the attorney.
Yeah.
That's the first.
course, we have the city attorney will be here. Wayne, you'll be here on a couple of items. Dude,
At least the first.
it's the one with the city. This is our finance
Bumble's bound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got on the books right now.
It's been
Response that guys can't be here.
Okay, where's your daughter? She calls me to remind me, she's what, 49 years old?
At some point, we
I mean, don't forget Rudolph's on.
tentatively what we had scheduled.
Okay, we're back in session. Everything going? Okay, I will announce at this time that the city has completed its closed session on this the 13th of February, 2023 at 7:38 PM. And I will also announce that we will be moving to agenda item 17, which we return to open session and take any action deemed necessary with regards to matters in closed session. We have a couple of matters to review. We have a resolution approving a 380 agreement with EVSPL Unaman LLC and declaring an effective date, resolution number R-021323-3, wherein the city and the Economic Development Committee have considered the request and found that the property being considered by the investor would need a sewer line extension to serve the project, and that a 380 agreement would be reasonable because this is it pertains to a national franchise and will pay hotel occupancy tax and will have very reasonable rates. So the resolution states that the city believes that a 380 agreement is beneficial to the city and its citizens. And the resolution will authorize the mayor to execute the 380 economic development agreement between the city of Port Lavaca and PVSPL on Newman LLC in a form approved by the city attorney, and it will be effective immediately upon passage. So do I have a motion approving that resolution number R-0213-3 as presented? We have a motion and a second. Did you get those?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second approving the 380 agreement as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And none opposed.
I move we adjourn.
Wait,
Wait.
we got one more thing.
Oh, wait. We gotta-
Turn those on.
We might do that, but I think there's some members that want to approve the next item.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to empower the mayor with the assistance of the city attorney to enter into agreement with RBC Capital Management not to exceed $7,500 to help us, to assist us in evaluations of our utility system and to help us consider some strategic direction with respect to the system.
Second. All right, so we have a motion and a second authorizing the city attorney and the mayor to execute an engagement letter with RBC
Capital Markets.
RBC, what?
RBCCM.
RBC.
CM. RBCCM.
To do a preliminary study of our utility systems as stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Did you say aye?
Unopposed, motion passes.
Susan said aye. You don't vote, Susan. I'm always scared I'm gonna do that.
No, having way too much fun up there.
You know where you stand, Susan. Okay.
Here.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn, I would like to thank everybody who reached in and helped me after my great catastrophe and fire and everything else. It's really helped me out a lot. This town means a lot to me, and the people coming forward just brings tears to my eyes. It's like tears of joy that there's so many good people in this town. I just want to publicly thank everyone that reached out and helped with me. Brandon that I was caring for at the time that passed away in the fire. I just want to thank all the people that have offered me comfort, family comfort. So it means a lot to me. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. If you need anything.
Before y'all leave, is anyone planning on going to the TML
I was curious about it.
in Yocum?
Didn't miss it.
The community center.
What day is it on?
The networking alone is
Yocum usually has really interesting ones. A lot of information.
Particular agenda or?
They're not having a workshop on this one.
Oh, they're not?
No.
They have a speaker.
Oh, I was gonna say, will this stuff help you figure out the RBCCM?
Yeah, it used to be